Hello, we're Gabriel Sangoman and Lawrence Polynese interviewing Dr. Burris about suicide among teenagers. And our first question for you, sir, is has suicide always been such a pressing issue in society, or are mental disorders a relatively new and developing topic of conversation in politics and medicine?
Okay, well, in my opinion, it's always been present, but with the social media today, we're exposed to it more and we're aware of it more. But it also appears to me that there's so many pressures on teenagers today and so many stresses that affect teenagers today that it's probably much more prevalent today than it was one time. Before, the roles of teenagers were stressful in himself, just being a teenager, but then you also had very strict guidelines on what it is to be a teenager, things that you have to do. Today, there are so many different stresses, particularly with social media, that affect the teenagers, that I think they're much more susceptible to this with their developing minds, especially with the social media, when it gives the perpetrators of negative comments anonymity on social media. They feel free that they can just post anything they want, and the reader can internalize this and not being able to adjust with it very well. They find that suicide may be an option for them. But I think it's more prevalent today. It's always been there, but today maybe it's more so because of all the stresses that are on the teenagers today.
So, would you agree that suicide has been popularized due to the social media driven societies of today?
Yes, it has been popularized, and also, just for example, I had some students in my office, and they were communicating among themselves, and in their vocabulary, the comment when somebody doesn't like what someone else is saying, the comment of, why don't you just go kill yourself, isn't like a threat or something very, very negative. It's just part of the normal conversation, which means, I don't like what you're doing, go kill yourself. He doesn't really want them to go kill themselves, but it's so part of the society today that it's just not that serious for someone to say, go kill yourself. And to my age group, when someone says, go kill yourself, that's a very, very serious comment. Today, it doesn't seem to be serious. It just shows you how society has changed. And the way the society is changing, it's really a rough time to be a teenager today, and a lot of them have trouble coping with all the stresses.
What are your opinions on movies and TV shows such as 13 Reasons Why that seem to glorify suicide?
I haven't seen any movies that glorify suicide. I haven't seen anything that have been exposed to that. But I know there's many more stresses on teenagers today than there ever has been in any societies before. There's just, especially with the social media, the advent of social media, there's just so many ways to communicate, and so many, as teenagers, as you well know, your brains aren't totally developed yet, and your ability to do things that aren't very well thought out, that's what makes teenagers teenagers, allows them to do this and have total anonymity, and they will do things like this.
Being a guidance counselor at our school, how would the guidance department in our school address a situation in which a student tells you he wants to commit suicide?
Well, the absolute minute something like that happens, or we hear of something like that, we're immediately, bring the student in, talk to them, notify the administration, notify their parents, and notify the authorities if possible. But we take it very seriously, and as it should be. But fortunately, we haven't had a lot of these, but we have had some that we have to address, and that is, I would say, probably the loss of life. I mean, how can you get more serious than that? We take that very seriously.
Due to dealing with so many different teenagers going through different challenges in their lives, have you noticed any patterns among depressive or suicidal teens, such as family issues, bullying, or alcohol or drug use?
I think all of those can lead to a student not being able to cope. The coping mechanisms are not totally developed. That's why Columbus, we have all kinds of campus ministry, guidance counselors to help with these things. And also students groups can help with these things. But a lot of times teenagers are unable to cope, and that suicide is a way out, to leave the pain that they're feeling. And if we notice this is happening, we immediately will there'll be an intervention in this situation.
With the many forms of rehabilitation, such as therapy, medication, family or group therapy, and in extreme cases, extended hospital stays, which do you believe is the most effective form of rehabilitation for teenagers?
Well, they're all going to be different. I mean, every individual is different, and every one of those therapies you mentioned are very important, or all combinations. So I can't say that one is going to be more important than other. But the most important thing is to address the physical well-being of the student, and to help the student feel more comfortable with themselves and being able to cope with whatever situation that they're in. And a lot of times these situations they may seem so important and so magnified to the student, but in reality they're not. Like something as simple as the loss of a girlfriend. There's going to be another girlfriend coming down the road. This isn't the end of the world. Or poor grades. A lot of students can internalize all these stresses, and this causes them to, feel that they no longer can cope with the situation. But they can, but they don't understand it at the time, so we have to help them with that.
All right, those are all the questions we have for you today. Thank you for your
So
time,
what do you
sir.
think? You think